it's like royalty. Oh my god, you're the first thing I guess. So how are you feeling today? I felt like we're doing therapy.
Yes.
Yeah. So how are you?
Good. Do you want to talk about my mother?
Do you want to talk about your mother?
No, I don't. That went very badly yesterday.
So how's MCM for you?
Great.
Cool. Have you enjoyed meeting these lovely fans?
Most of them.
I'm sure you've got some stories to tell them. So now I'm going to launch straight into questions because we have fan questions at the end of this, and I will signal when you have to run to those mics. Now, over the last few days, this side of the room has been very fast. Okay, so we want this side of the room to be faster this time. So the end is now. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the start. How did you feel when you first landed this role in Supernatural?
On Supernatural? To be honest, indifferent.
Oh.
Because I didn't know what Supernatural was, really, when I got cast on it. I was not a fan of the show, per se, in that I had never seen it before. And I just knew that there were these two, underwear model guys driving around. It looked like Dukes of Hazzard meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer to me. Actually, why wouldn't I be excited about that? That sounds amazing. But then once I got on the show and got to know it, I got more and more into it, and then it was the whole thing was this sort of ongoing, unfurling surprise where I got more and more episodes on the show, and then I got more intimate with the fan base, not in that way, and started to realize that I had sort of happened into this community and this phenomenon that I didn't even know was happening. I remember going to the end of the season 4 premiere at McGee's little studio, his offices in Hollywood. They did a little screening party, and the writers were there, and a couple of the actors were there, and we were eating past hors d'oeuvres. And Sarah Gamble, who was not the showrunner at the time, but just a writer on the show, sidled up to me and said, "Your life is about to change," right before my character was introduced on the show. And I was like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" I've been on plenty of TV shows as a guest star. It's not that big a deal. And then she was right, and I had to apologize to her later.
So, how was it coming in to this? Because you came in at season 4?
That's correct.
So, the Supernatural fans, I have to say, are the most wonderful, enthusiastic fan base. You guys are really amazing. So, it's not just about this guy, it's about you too. So what was it like coming into that family, and how did the fans take to you?
I think you were basically using a euphemism there. They're psychotic.
In a nice way, you can be nice.
Good psychotic. That's actually true. They are good psychotic. It was by degrees, that I started to realize how intense that community was. And by the way, over time also, the intensity of the community grew. I think that the Supernatural fandom now is stronger by orders of magnitude than it was in season 4. And it's been really cool to be a part of it. It's been cool to be able to work with fans to, do really cool things like, charitable work that we've all done together. The Supernatural fandom has really has probably hundreds of thousands of volunteer hours and millions of dollars into worthy causes over the years. and that's really a remarkable thing.
Yes.
And it's really cool to be a part of. I love the idea of being able to take a show that's about two underwear models driving around in their Dukes of Hazzard car and turning that into something that, you know, is able to build orphanages and to help, you know, Syrian refugees and things like that. It's just a really, totally surreal and wonderful phenomenon that I'm really happy to be a part of.
I never thought of that. We'll be talking more about that sort of stuff later for sure. Throughout the interview, I've got some fan questions from the internet and things, but I've got one that's a video that got sent in. This was one that got sent in. So can we play the video from a super fan of yours? Is it ready?
Can I Misha from down under? Be nice to my friend, be clear, behave yourself in the interview or I'll hex you. Bye.
I said to you earlier.
Ruth's eyes looked amazing in that.
Yeah.
He looked really good.
Ruth is a good pal of mine, and when she found out I was speaking to you, she was like, "Oh my God!" And she told me lots of things I can't say here.
What were the things you could say?
Well, there was one question I can ask.
Which is what?
It's she says, "This is from Ruth. This is from a fan, Ruth Connell. What is your favourite thing that you've ever written on your chest?" What the heck does that mean?
Who was it? Was it Lucifer? Does anyone remember?
Yeah.
Who conveyed it was Lucifer? So, unfortunately, Lucifer, I guess, wanted to convey Samara?
Amara.
It doesn't matter. A bad character wanted to convey a message, which is, I'm coming to get you. But it was conveyed by writing, I'm coming on my bare chest, which I then had to convey to the other characters by tearing my shirt open and my bare chest with I'm coming. And I, for some reason, I read the script, and they had to do a prosthetic, which means it takes the makeup to, it wasn't just like painting lipstick on my chest, it was like it had to look like it was burned onto my chest. And so it took hours to put this application on in the morning. I had to come into work early to do it. And then when they were done, I looked down and I was like, oh, that's a terrible idea. But that didn't, unfortunately, I didn't process that until they were done and we were ready to shoot. And so we got on the set, and we did many takes in which I tried to do a corresponding facial expression and sounds that would convey the message very clearly. What I didn't know is that once a year, the president and top brass of Warner Brothers Television come visit set. And they happened to be at the monitors when I was doing that. And I didn't know that. So the fact that I'm still on the show is a real coup.
Okay, so prop for that Ruth actually had really lovely things to say about you. She DM'd me on Twitter. She was like, "Oh my God, I love Misha." So tell me, do you have any stories about Ruth and the other cast members you'd like to share?
I mean, if I had a penny for every time I'd heard Ruth say that. I love Ruth. I mean, we have this like really amazing core cast. And it's actually maybe self-selecting. There's a group of actors who have ended up being on the Supernatural convention circuit. So we see each other 15 weekends a year, and we all just kind of love each other and complement one another and bring different things to the group and really enjoy each other's company. and we laugh a lot. When we just spent last weekend in Rome at a convention, and at the end of that convention, everyone has just like ripped six-pack abs because they're laughing so much the whole time. It's not true, we don't. But really, we're like, literally, I was like, my stomach muscles are sore from laughing so much because we just have a great time in the green room. Yeah, and that goes for all of the cast. Everyone is, I think, I would say, equally loved and admired, except for Jared and Jensen.
Guys, so what are you going to miss most about the show?
I think that's probably what I'll miss the most about the show. I don't know. I mean, I think I'll miss going to work and laughing and having that camaraderie. It's not just the cast, but it's also the crew of the show. We all just know each other so well. We've all kind of grown up together. We've squandered our middle age together. I'm gonna miss the Supernatural community, the Supernatural fandom. I know that it won't go away immediately, but as these things go, it will dwindle. People will move on to other favorite shows, younger, prettier shows, and I know it won't ever go away completely, but I think I'll miss that like fire and intensity that we have when a show is on the air. I sincerely hope we can find a way to like carry the torch forward into other things.
I'm sure you will, and you've got these guys carrying the love for you as well, so it's gonna...
I hope so.
Yes.
I do know that we will never forget this fandom. We'll always, it'll always be a huge part of our lives, formative and foundational.
Now I've got a fan question here from Instagram. Have you learned anything from the show that has great meaning to you and will stay with you for the rest of your life, despite the end of this era? From Amy251 on Instagram.
One of the things that happens on set a lot when I'm shooting with Jared and Jensen is that they try to make me laugh while the cameras are on me. And they do that to humiliate me. And I, from the beginning, have been really bad at not laughing. And at one point I gave up on it. I was like, I'm just gonna laugh. Not even try to bite my cheeks or pinch my own leg to try to cause myself pain. But nothing worked. And then one day Dave, our dolly grip, came up to me and he said, Misha, do you want to know a trick? When they're trying to make you laugh, just think about how much you hate them. And it really worked. So that's probably one of the most important things I'll take away from it.
Great, I love it. And what are your plans after Supernatural?
I don't know.
Got any plans to dip into other worlds outside of acting? I mean, I know you've got lots of other things going on I'm going to ask you about after this.
I'm really ruminating on that and trying to make sure that I'm making a good decision for what I want to do next. I mean, I think that I could try to jump right into another show, or I could try to start producing my own stuff, or I could crawl into a cave and cry for a year. And I'm not sure which one of those I'm going to choose.
Don't do the third one.
Well, I don't know. It could be interesting.
Get out of that cave.
Yeah.
Stay out of the cave. Don't go in the cave. I've seen you've been asked quite a few times about the whole accent thing. Okay. So I want you to tell me, is there an accent that you find too difficult to do?
I mean, my Scottish accent is terrible.
Well, I was going to ask you to do a Scottish accent.
No, it's awful. I have tried with Ruth, and it just sounds like I'm a leprechaun with a lisp. Doesn't work.
Are there phrases that she gives you, like?
No, I mean, in fairness, we haven't spent a lot of time with her tutoring me on the accent, but it's not my strong suit. Yeah, I used to spend a lot of time doing accents, and I did it so much. This was like in high school and college, and I did it so much that people would stop talking to me. I spent probably literally 6 months talking more in an Indian accent than in a standard American accent. And my family was just furious. They were like, stop it, stop. But I had a couple of friends who were like, you're really good at this. You should be an actor. And so I was like, oh, okay, great. So I think I'm an actor partly because I did accents for a long time. And some of the first roles I got were like Russian gangster characters, which was just because I'm not actually really Russian, but I had a good Russian accent. People thought I was Russian. So so I don't know. I owe some of my career to the fact that I could do a handful of accents well, but it's amazing to me how bad I am at so many accents as well. I'm not sure why that is.
Don't you worry, I'm really bad. Now,
Are you kidding me? Your Scottish accent is incredible.
As I said in the last panel, mate, I've been here for 17 years and I still can't do an English accent, and I live in England. It always ends up turning out like this, don't know why.
That sounds great to me.
I know you're just going, like just in the pair of us. Anyway, I'm going to ask another fan question on Instagram. What would you be doing now if the role of Cass had never come along from Susan?
I would probably be working as a physical therapist.
Oh.
No, I don't know. I say that because right around the time that I got cast as Castiel, my wife's mother said, maybe you should get a job as a physical therapist, because she didn't have any faith in my acting career at the time. I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, I feel like it was there was a lot of luck that came into play, but I was also sort of bound and determined to keep it acting, and I would probably still be doing it.
So another fan question I've got here. How did you feel when you knew that season 15 would be the end of Supernatural? And that's from some short guy 89.
Some short guy on the internet?
Yeah, some short guy 89. Yes.
I wonder if that's Rob Benedict. I think we all felt kind of bittersweet about it. I think we're all interested to see what's next in our lives, but at the same time, we love the show and have spent really our whole adult careers working on the show, and we're really gonna miss it. So it was bittersweet. I'm nervous and excited about the future. Sad to be seeing the show go, but we had conversations about, while we could, writers really felt like they could stretch the story for another 2 or 3 seasons, or have one really kick-ass final season. And the consensus was, let's do that. Let's go out with a bang, and let's be proud of our finish. And I think we all feel really good about that choice.
And this is from Hannah McD. Will you be directing one last time in the upcoming season?
I'm not sure yet. We're still sort of looking at the schedule, but I hope so.
Now, I was looking at your cookbook, Adventurous Eaters Club.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask, really random, now we're going from Supernatural to food.
Yep.
Where did that love of food come from? Clearly you've got a love of food if you're doing a cookbook. Was it via being a parent and fussy kids? How did that come to be?
So for those of you who don't know, my wife and I are writing a cookbook. It's like a family cookbook. It's about getting kids to eat healthy foods, but it's also about trying to build family and connection around food. And I guess the love of food probably comes from my mother. We didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up, and but we always sat down for home-cooked meals. And when I was home sick from school, my mother would always sort of care for me and show love for me by making soup or taking care of me with food. It led to me being a fairly chubby kid, but I have always felt like food was a way to convey love, and I think that's probably part of what that's come to pass.
Let's talk about one of your other projects, GISH.
Yes.
So I'm really interested, for those who don't know, explain what GISH is, how do you GISH?
GISH, I mean, I call it a scavenger hunt. It's not really a scavenger hunt. It's this thing where I make a list of things for people to do. It's a 1 week period every year, and then they go out and either dress up in weird costumes or make things or embarrass themselves in some way or try to accomplish some really difficult, nearly insurmountable tasks. And then we all collectively do something that's good for the world in some way, and I think it's a really kind of strange, lovely experiment that has gone wildly well. People in 100 countries participate in it, and we have done some really cool things together. And I've also gotten to see people humiliate themselves just because I tell them to, and there's nothing more satisfying than that.
How would you, and now this is the last question before we play our little game, so I'm going to ask everyone to start lining up. Let's see which side of the room's quickest.
Yeah, interesting, yeah, the left side is way faster.
So how would you...
Maybe the floor is tilted or something.
You guys were like, crush. How would you inspire people to make a change and be kinder? Leading on from GISH.
Well, I mean, I think one of the things that's nice about GISH is that we've been able to find a way to make being kind or thoughtful or charitable into a game. So it doesn't feel like it's an onerous task that someone at your school is forcing you to do, or your parents are forcing you to do. It's me forcing you to do it. I guess it's the same. But it's like, I call it gamifying good. It's like bringing play into charity. It's something that I try to do with my kids. Like, they get excited to go down to the homeless drop-in center to give things away because it feels playful to them.
Yeah.
And I guess that's, one of the things that through this process I've accidentally stumbled on the notion that, wait, we can actually have doing nice things for other people be something that's playful and fun instead of something that, your priest is making you do to do penance. Yeah.
Now let's play this game. It's
Okay.
called the UK Phrase Challenge.
Okay, I'm gonna fit.
Okay. So, I'm going to say the phrase, not always in the accent, because I can't do these accents.
Okay.
And then you're going to have to guess what it means, right? Oof, that's pure boggin.
I'm coming.
I hope not. So can you guess what that means? Oof, that's pure boggin.
That smells bad.
Almost, it's Glaswegian, that's disgusting. Ugh, that's disgusting.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Okay, this is another one. Okay, so not Scottish, it's a bit of a clue. Gwed lad.
What?
Gwed lad. I'm not doing it in the accent, I refuse.
Gwed lad?
Yeah, Gwed lad.
That's when two men marry each other.
Go ahead, lad.
Oh, that's right. That's
Okay,
right.
this next one, and that was from Liverpool, and this next one is Tara a bit. Would it help if I did this?
That's
Tara a bit.
that's a scary tiara.
Birmingham, see you later.
I'll see you in a bit. Okay.
Okay, those trainers are so peng.
Your sneakers are hurting me.
Peng is from London. It refers to anything that's, oh, I like the look at that. Those trainers are so peng. Your jacket's very peng. You're looking peng all round.
Thank you.
He's just emanating pengness right now. I don't think I'm using it right anymore, but we'll move on. I can't be mithered.
I can't be mothered?
Mithered.
Mithered. I can't be bothered?
Yes! It's from Manchester.
Yes.
Yes, first one in, yes. And this last one. Hod your wisht. Hod your wisht. Hod your wisht.
I have to go to the bathroom?
Actually, that is Edinburgh. Be quiet. Hod your wisht.
Oh, that's so good.
So that concludes our accent challenge. You got one
Thank you.
minute.
I what do I win?
Well, you win pride.
Great.
Guys, we're on to the fan questions. So you guys are really fast. We're going to go with the slow coaches over here. Lovely lady there. Go for it.
Hi, Misha.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Thank you. You know, Misha, as a Supernatural fan, it has been quite weird and overwhelming for me to watch myself grow so fond of the show and so attached to the cast, you specifically. But then what you said earlier made me think it must have been even more confusing for you as an actor to, just wake up one day and realize you have all these people you don't know that just love you so much and look up to you and travel to other continents to see you. So how was it at first? Did you hate it? Was it weird?
It's a very strange phenomenon to come for the first time to come face to face with people who know you, but you don't know them. And I think that over time, if you think about it, the show Supernatural is, we're going into our 15th season. How old are you?
22.
22. So if you started watching the show when it first came on the air, you would have been 7 years old. And you would have grown up with those characters on your television, and you would have seen us go from young, attractive men to withered old hags. And you would have felt like you knew us, like you'd watched us and our characters evolve over time. And so when you meet us, you really do kind of know us in a way. And it's a very strange thing to meet people who know you and you don't know them. And at first it felt kind of overwhelming and strange and difficult to process. And now, I'll be out. Now I've been a part of it for a dozen years, and I'll be out signing autographs, and people will come up and say, I love you. And I'll say, yeah, of course you do. It's amazing how you get used to almost anything, Now, miraculously, it seems normal. But I always feel like there's a part of me that just a little bit cringes. Like, you don't know me. I'm like deeply flawed, but thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thank you for your question. Let's go over here to the second.
Okay.
Hi.
It's all good. Go for it.
Okay, so I don't know how much influence you have over season 15, but
I have influence all over it.
I'm sure you do. So can Cass get his wings back?
Yes. Great idea.
Yeah.
I'm tired of him driving around in those shitty cars.
Actually, I like the truck.
I like the truck too. I like the pimp. You like the truck?
You look great in a truck.
Really? I did not like it. I liked his 1980s FBI wagon that he was just driving that has, not a sedan that he was just driving that had the bird shit on it. Did you notice that one? I like the pimp mobile. I missed that one. I've been advocating for Cass to get a smart car and to have Sam be in it with him.
You just want to play yourself again.
I think that could be really funny. Or a motorcycle.
Yes.
I'd like Cass to have a few more vehicles before he gets his wings back. The show has always been trying to. The show has always been trying to find a way to hobble Castiel so he can't solve problems too easily. Sam and Dean have to jump in the car and drive for 2 days to get to their next case. And Castiel could always be like, if he had his wings, he'd be like, why don't I go check it out? I'll be back in 5 minutes. So I think it's a way. I think having Cass's wings be broken is a way for the show to not have me be able to solve problems too quickly.
Thank you. Thanks for your question.
Thank you.
Next over here, please.
That episode where Cass had to go get fruit from the tree of life.
Hey, what the fuck is up with that?
I know. So Cass was like, well, I'll be off. I gotta go grab fruit from the tree of life in Israel or something. Where did he go? Jerusalem? And Cass had to get on an airplane at that point. He doesn't have wings. He had to find a way to book a flight on Expedia. And, you know, it was probably a connecting flight, and it was probably a coach middle seat, and he's sitting there just like, no food for me.
Anything to declare?
Nothing to declare, just fruit from the tree. Do you have any fruit coming? Like, when he comes through customs, like, do you have any produce? It's like, well, just these bag of fruit from the tree of life. Probably got held up in customs for a while. Anyway.
Okay.
It's just something to think about.
Thank you. Okay,
Hi.
over here.
Hello. So I've seen this meme on Facebook with some clarity. Why were you arrested for sitting on top of a roof reading a book?
I made a lot of poor decisions as a young person. But one of them was it was late at night in my hometown of Greenfield, Massachusetts, and I had a book with me. I think it was Watership Down, and I wanted to find a good spot to read, but there were no street lights that were near benches, and I was like looking around, and I saw that there was a big street light right over the roof of a one-story building, and I was like, well, that looks perfect. I can get on that roof and read under that light. And it was around midnight. It was a bank. And so I scaled the bank and got up there to read my book, and then about 20 minutes later, all these floodlights came on from adjacent rooftops, and the police had been called because obviously somebody had seen somebody breaking into the bank. And they got me down from the roof, pushed me down on the ground, handcuffed me, and then they said, "What were you doing?" And I was like, obviously I was reading my book. It took a while for them to believe me, but I think I only had like $3 on me, so that's what ultimately exonerated me.
Thank you. Beautiful mugshot, by the way.
Thanks.
Thank you. Over here?
I'm Misha. I'd like to apologise because it's going to ask about the end of season 14, and I know some of us won't have seen it. But when Jack first died, Cass made the deal with the empty to spare his whatever so that he would stay in heaven. But now that Jack is back in the empty, does that mean that Cass's deal with the empty is invalid and that he can be happy if he really wants to?
I hope so. Yeah, I hope now you can be like, screw Jack. I don't think so. No, I don't think that invalidates it because the deal there was no contingency as far as I could tell based on Jack dying the second time. So I think if Cass is happy, he will die.
Thank you. I didn't know if it's because he no longer had a human soul, he wasn't entitled to enter heaven.
Oh, maybe.
Thank you.
Very clever. Yeah.
Thank you. Over to this
They were coming
gentleman
down
over
the queue
here.
saying they got 5 minutes left, so
Hi.
may as well be at the front.
I hope so too. Yes.
Just a quick question. You get a lot of questions from this fact. Since it's a question you've never been asked, but was really interested in had asked you.
A question that I've never been asked, but I wish they had asked me. I think a lot of people, I mean, nobody has ever really asked me about my childhood traumas. And now that we have this couch, I feel like it's a good opportunity. No, but you mentioned Stonehenge, and I have met a couple of people who mentioned that they live near Stonehenge here, and I actually went to Stonehenge several years ago when I was doing a convention here, and found it to be amazing and much more impressive than the styrofoam Stonehenge that we used in Stonehenge Apocalypse, which, if you haven't seen it, Stonehenge Apocalypse is, we were ultimately snubbed for the Oscars, but it's a film that I'm very proud of. I saved the world in it, which is kind of a big deal.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your question. question. Over here with the rainbow t-shirt, that's amazing, go for it.
Hello, also lovers to speak English in a room of British people.
You're doing a very good job.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I have a very good German accent.
I know, it's very compelling. Are you Scottish?
What's your wish? Yeah, go on.
So, I think everyone appreciates that you share so much of yourself and of your family on social media.
Except for my family, but yes.
As a mother of a teenage boy, I'm wondering, are you afraid if in a few years your children will come up to you and ask you, what the hell were you thinking? Posting those things?
Good question.
Yes, that's a great question. I recently told the story about wiping my daughter's ass on stage, and I reflected that she will probably see that one day and ask. In the United States, we have this thing called emancipation, where a child can say, basically divorce themselves from their parents legally, and I have a feeling my children will try to do that. And I completely understand. Yeah. Thank you.
Dankeschön. Okay, cool, next.
Hi, Misha.
Hi, how are you?
Good. I'm Nicole and I'm from Germany.
Hi.
Hi. I'm just nervous. First, I want to tell you are an awesome person and you are amazing and we appreciate you so much.
Thank you for your kindness. Thank you.
And Misha, you are family and we love you so much and we will support you forever.
Thank you.
And my question is about angels. I imagine that every angel has different colored wings, and I wonder what color would have Cass's wings.
Cass's wings? They're probably rainbow colored wings. Thank you for that question.
Thank you very, very much. Okay, let's go over to this side of the room here. I think we've still got time for some more. Okay, go for it. Hi.
So first I wanted to tell you that you've been a huge inspiration for me. You really inspired me to be a more kind person, to be myself and be proud of it, and also things like buttering up my boyfriend for GISH or something like that.
I'm happy that I inspired you to butter your boyfriend. I'm proud of that.
So my question is, if you could choose...
It's hard to wash butter off, too. I mean, it takes some time.
So my question is, if you could choose any song to be featured in an episode of Supernatural, which one would you choose and why?
Good question.
That is a good question. I don't know. I feel like we could use some real heavy metal, some more Metallica. But I think we could also use more lighthearted stuff as well, like the Muppets theme song.
I was thinking about something like "I Want to Break Free" from Queen.
Oh.
Oh, well, that sounds nice. But let me throw this back at you. What about Sam and Dean driving in the Impala opening sequence and them just singing "Twinkle Twinkle Little Star"? Kind of badass, huh?
Thank you. Let's go over to the side of the room now, please.
Hi.
Hi, you share a lot of your stories about your family on social media platforms, and nobody's asked you a question about family, so can you have a Collins story, please?
A Collins story. Sure. Oh my God. I've been away from my kids for 10 days, or almost 2 weeks now. And I miss them terribly, and they're very cute, and they say some of the sweetest things. And they also say some other things. We sing songs like Twinkle Twinkle Little Star at bedtime. And I was snuggling the kids in bed, and I said, I love you so much. I love you to the moon and back, and I want you to stay my little kids forever and ever, and I want you to never grow up. And they said, no, we are going to grow up. And I said, no, I want you to stay my little kids forever and ever and ever and not grow up. And they said, no, we are going to grow up. And I said, no, I want you to stay my little kids forever and ever and not grow up. And Mason said, no, we are going to grow up, and we're going to get old, and we're going to die. Sweet.
Thank you very much. Thank you, that's a good story. And next, what's on your t-shirt? That is amazing.
That's Michael Scott.
Yes, okay. Your question, please?
Yes, so, hi Misha.
Hi.
First I want to thank you for everything you do for this world.
Thank you for everything you do. Thank you.
And my question is, will we ever get new episodes of Cooking Fast and Fresh requests? Also, what is your favorite food in Newcastle, UK?
I think we will get more episodes of Cooking Fast and Fresh requests. He started to get a little self-conscious about the camera, and he found out about view counts. He was like, somebody told me there was 1 million views on Cooking Fast and Fresh or something. And I was like, oh God, I've created a monster. So I've been a little bit, wary of that. But I think we probably will do more because it's fun and they're starting to get into cooking and on their own, which is really kind of a fun moment. And my favorite food, I don't know, I love so many different kinds of foods, but I think when I was a kid, I mentioned this before just to try to get sympathy, but we didn't have a lot of money. And every once in a while, for like a big treat, we would go out to the cheapest Chinese restaurant in town, where it was like $3.50 for an all-you-can-eat buffet. And I have always had this weird thing, which is a love for the cheapest possible Chinese food. It's like a comfort food for me. Like at the airport, when you can get like 15,000 calories of food for a couple of pounds, that for me is really a sweet spot. So like when I'm actually feeling under the weather or something, sometimes I'll treat myself to the cheapest possible Chinese food.
That's better than
Possibly, although probably less healthy, but arguably. Thank you.
Very much. Okay, on to the next.
Hi. I'm actually celebrating finally getting my bachelor's in politics.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But I'm very and I couldn't afford a photo ticket. So can I be really cheeky and ask for a selfie?
Sure.
Right, let's do this.
So I just thought about changing my question and asking the same thing. But my actual question was like, if Jared Jensen and you were to do like a body swap episode in season 15, would you prefer to play Dean or Sam? And would you prefer like for Jensen or Jared to play Castiel?
I think I would probably prefer to play Jensen, just because I already feel like I have a pretty good handle on his like body language. I've kind of already got it down. And I think I would like to have Jared play Castiel. No, I wouldn't. I don't want him anywhere near my vessel. I choose neither for the other. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, last but not least, Ms. Red Hot Chili Peppers over there.
Hi.
How are you doing?
So my question is, if you had to pick between Sam and Dean to
like survive in the 15th season, which one would it be and why? Well, that's a great last question.
Well, it's a tricky question because you're asking me to lose a friend. I'm actually strangely attached to this idea that Jensen had. He had a dream about how the show ends. This is the last scene of the show, and it's Dean driving up to a crossroads in the Impala and handing the keys of the Impala off to someone who is trading him a motorcycle for the Impala. Somebody presumably that he met on Craigslist. And he gets on the motorcycle and drives away alone because he no longer needs a second seat because Sam is gone. And it's a heartbreaking end to the show. But in a way, I think that there's almost like a more poignant, I feel like the show needs to end tragically somehow, and have a finality to the ending. But I think that there's something more heartbreaking about one of the brothers surviving than having them both die in a Thelma and Louise send-off, or Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. I feel like there's something more poignant about one surviving. And that story, that dream that Jensen had is stuck with me, so
Thank you.
kind of like that one. Thanks.
Great question. Now, we've reached the end. From Carol. No, Misha's such a great guest. Misha, you're so bloody wonderful. Ruth was right. All those enthusiastic DMs, I was like, okay, all right. And you have not disappointed. You've been bloody lovely.
Oh, thank you for your kindness.
Lovely. Thank you so much. Guys, I want you to give a rapturous round of applause for Misha. Thank you for joining us again.